Welcome back to Worth Watching. This is where I put the watch 3 episodes rule to the test. People say you can't judge a show based only on its first episode. You should at least watch the first 3 to get a good grasp of the plot, characters, and the general vibe of the show. My patrons voted on what they wanted me to do next, and they ended up voting for Arcane. A show I'm sure you've heard or seen somewhere before, because damn, this sure blew up, huh? Before I actually watch any episodes, let me explain what I know about Arcane. Nothing, basically. I know it's based off of League of Legends, a game I've never played. It looks so boring, come on. There's this one blue-haired girl who looks like if Harley Quinn was less of a manic pixie dream girl, more of a manic pixie dream girl? Off-brand Harley Quinn. And there's this red-haired girl who I think is actually the main character. I'm unsure if the blue-haired girl is a villain or just like a real eccentric hero, like an emo version of Pinkie Pie. And I know that red-haired girl has a companion, but I don't know if it's her girlfriend or her sister, and I also don't actually remember what they look like. In my mind, the only person I can picture is basically Hana from Fire Emblem Fates. And I don't know what the actual plot is. I think it might be a big overthrowing the tyrannical government kind of thing. Just jazzed up with magic and fighting and fantasy. Basically the first half of every Tales of game. And that's what I got. I guess I should stop blabbering about what is probably my wrong predictions, and let's dive into Arcane. Alrighty, so what have we got going on here? Ah, I see. Terrible, gruesome visuals accompanied by children singing. Of course. What else was I expecting? Jokes aside, this is probably some of the most powerful visual animations I've seen in a while. There's no dialogue other than the little blue-haired girls' brief singing, yet everything is so clearly portrayed just based off of their stellar facial expressions. I've never seen characters emoting so clearly and realistically, even with such a stylistic art direction. The first 3 minutes perfectly captures the feelings of war, horror, loss, grief, anger, all without any dialogue. I'm thoroughly impressed. Oh, the misery. They got Imagine Dragons to do the opening song? What? I love Imagine Dragons. Actually, I've heard this song a lot of times before, and I didn't know it was Arcane's opening. That's bananas.
Hey, Powder! Come take a look.
Wait. Her name is Powder? Oh, I feel fucking stupid. I kept seeing people tweeting about a powder, but I thought they were just talking about that shitty movie from the 90s. You've probably noticed by now that the art direction is absolutely beautiful. I knew it would be before I even started watching. The characters and world has this unique, almost painted-like quality to them, and it's very eye-catching. So the 2 girls from the opening, Powder and V, alongside these 2 other toadies, are robbing someone's place. They're throwing around a lot of words that I don't recognize in the context of this universe.
Look around you. You think anyone topside's going hungry?
Vander's gonna kill us.
Yeah, only if we screw up.
There's tons of enforcers down there.
Means we're in the right place.
However, the context in which they're using those words in their sentences helps me to have a basic understanding of what they mean. Whatever topside is must be people who are better off compared to where V and Powder come from. Vander, I'm guessing, is the bearded man from before, and is some sort of authority figure for them. Enforcers seem to be like guards or police or something. When you're doing a fantasy story that uses fantasy words, it's important to have dialogue that helps establish the context of those words in a way that's easy for an audience member with zero understanding of the world to still be able to catch on to the idea of what those words mean. It's a lot more engaging and flows a lot better compared to having droning exposition. While robbing the place, Powder finds some important looking blue crystal things, though while attempting to escape, she drops one and it ends up exploding. After they get chased and escape into the sewers, it looks like they're in the clear and they can kick back and relax. Nope, just kidding. Now they're in a street fight.
You're in the wrong part of town!
Powder tries to run away, but after getting chased down, she ends up ditching the loot in order to get the goon off of her trail. So our heroes end up losing everything they had nabbed from before. Something they're all clearly not too thrilled about.
Every time she comes, something goes wrong.
But at least now, they can actually finally kick back for a second. Down here in hell. Hanging out with Hades, I presume. Or maybe it's Scar, I'm not sure.
You have no idea what kind of trouble you are in.
This is Vander, and he's not too happy with them breaking into rich people's places and exploding buildings. After a brief talk, he goes off to try to sell some random crap to make some extra money, and it's then that Powder realizes she still has those glowing blue things that can explode.
She's a problem.
You know what, Milo? You're right. There's a bunch of things Powder just can't do. Like complain about everything.
What?
Oh geez, really? I thought you were saying something and walked away before I could hear you say the thing that meant the opposite. Trope? Is that a trope? This sort of thing just always feels contrived to me. Fortunately though, it seems like there's not too much bad blood between the girls and they quickly reconcile.
You're stronger than you think. And one day, this city's gonna respect us.
Okay, you got me pretty hyped with that one. The first episode ends with this villain-looking guy who must be a big Cowboy Bebop fan, because he's just straight up doing Red Eye. Like, no joke, it looks exactly the same. So after this first episode, I'm definitely intrigued. The world is cool looking. These characters are a bit of a mixed bag though. They range from annoying, to boring, to nice, to quickly becoming my new favorite character. Though this first episode felt weirdly long, or maybe just slow. The beginning had a lot of action, with their rooftop adventure, their B&E, the chase, the fight. It was a lot, and it was all pretty exciting, but once they reached Maleficent's lair down here, it all slowed down a lot. Suddenly it became a lot of sitting in one place and talking. Then the next scene would just be more characters sitting in one place and talking, and it kept doing that until the end credits. Not that there needs to be non-stop action in a show for it to be exciting, far from it. Maybe if just the talking head scenes had a bit more interesting blocking with the characters. Even something as simple as a character playing with something in their hands can help keep a sit still and talk moment visually interesting. The other thing is, a lot of the dialogue felt very repetitive. It was a lot of, the enforcers are bad, you shouldn't go across the river, Powder fucked up the mission. I felt like we couldn't get away from those 3 talking points, and we never really added anything new to the conversation, and barely had any unique character moments because of it. So yeah, I'm intrigued, but not really quite hooked yet. Episode 2 starts, and we get to see the break-in explosion from the owner of the house's point of view. The explosion knocks him out and tumbling into a flashback, a common side effect of explosions, you see. If you or anyone you know suffers from tragic backstory flashbacks, you might be eligible for compensation.
Who are you anyway? I'm assistant to the dean of the academy.
Couldn't have gotten a take where he didn't mumble his way through that line? Really?
Imprisonment. What a curious principle.
What the hell is happening? Why are we here? What happened to Vi and Powder's story? What are you? Like a magical creature or something? Like a gnome or a brownie? First we got like straight up magic being cast during his flashback, and now we got Gizmo popping up. I feel like some of this should have been hinted at in the first episode.
What manner of inquiry was this?
Professor Heimerdinger.
I'm definitely gonna end up pronouncing that wrong. Finally, back to our team. Alright, we're playing some arcade games. Cool. This could be a fun way to get the 4 of them to hang out and develop their characters.
You should see this.
Or we could just dive into another chase scene. Okay, I don't know, I kind of would like to just get to know these characters better, and being able to have a regular conversation or just hanging out would help, but no. Even before this chase, once again, the only thing they said was, enforcers are bad, Powder fucked up our mission last time. I get it, say something new already.
You are the richest person in Piltover.
Yet I remain the poorest Medada.
Who are you now? Oh my god, I feel like we haven't even been able to develop our actual protagonists yet. it? Why are we throwing just a bunch of new characters at me? This episode feels so unfocused. We keep bouncing back between Jace here being arrested for having some weird science magic in his apartment, and the Underground wanting to fight the Enforcers. There's not much of a transition between these different scenes. They kind of just start and stop randomly. God, she is fucking beautiful. Look at her. Oh my god, stunning, gorgeous, so pretty. Little known fact about tragic backstory flashback syndrome. It can also be contagious. So apparently magic, or arcane as it's called, I think, was like super bad and stuff. But Jace is trying to figure out a way to use magic with science somehow. They decide not to exile Jace, and instead his punishment is just being kicked out of school, which, you know, I would count that as a win in my book. University sucked ass. Evil dudes planning some evil stuff. Ooh, ah.
My dad says you're a misfit. And that we can't be friends anymore.
Oh no! Jace can't be friends with the girl who's literally had like 1 minute of screen time? Oh no! How will he survive? I'm so invested. Yeah, I really don't care about this relationship. I barely know anything about Jace in general. I'm not really all that torn up over him not being able to talk to the girl with like 3 lines of dialogue so far. We do get an actually very tense scene with the kids hiding from the Enforcers again. I'll admit, it had me on the edge of my seat.
I grew up knowing I'm less than them. I want Powder to have more than that, and I'm willing to fight for it.
Finally, it's about time we get to really develop a character, to flesh them out and give them a bit more depth, and we get more stellar facial expressions. Honestly, I feel like the story has been at its most impactful when there's been no dialogue. And luckily, the follow-up scene is another really good heavy hitter when it comes to developing these characters. Victor here steps up just before Jace was supposedly going to jump, and they have a decent heart-to-heart. This conversation took 2 characters I really didn't give a shit about so far, and has endeared them to me. This is the kind of thing I've been waiting for. It's just a shame it's taken almost the whole episode just to get here. Episode 2 ends on a cliffhanger, threatening a war between the Underground and the Enforcers. I'll be honest, episode 2 was kind of a bore. It threw a lot of new characters at me and barely was able to develop 2 of them. Worst of all, we barely got to spend any time with our other characters from episode 1. The story feels like it's moving at a breakneck pace. A lot is happening and moving quickly from one moment to the next, but the downside is our characters aren't getting any attention. I want to get to love these characters. I want to get to know them better, but we keep moving so fast from one scene to the next that they don't get the time to just develop. Alrighty, let's start up episode 3.
Ever wonder what it's like to drown?
Fucking no. This is where we're starting this? What? Anyways, once that is done, Vander locks up V and he offers himself up to be arrested instead. Oh! Oh no! Oh no! After that heart-wrenching scene of Vi watching Vander getting dragged off by a monster, let's cut to the cozy science boys bonding and being cute together. Tonal whiplash? What's that? Alright, Mr. Villain Man, you've got Vander here. Care to explain to us what it is you're doing all your villain stuff for?
For what? Pride?
For respect.
Listen, homie, I don't know how to break it to you, but, well, have you heard of respect is earned, not given?
Willing to risk exile for your endeavor.
Wait a minute, it's in my bedroom? See you.
Oh man, these 2 are damn cute together. Vi runs back home and tells the others about what happened with Vander. As they're all getting ready to go, she tells Powder to stay behind.
I can help!
You're not ready!
Emotional, damn it!
Powder ends up not taking the news too well, but she also puts 2 and 2 together, realizing it was the glowing crystals that caused the explosion from before. Meanwhile, Jace and Victor are figuring out how to make their science project work. Meanwhile, Vi and the others are off to try to rescue Vander. Jeez, these plotlines bounce around more than fucking Tigger.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh
Vi has equipped Vander's big punchies, and she fights off the goons while the others keep trying to free Vander. She's kicking ass so far, but big purple people eater over here seems to be too much for her to handle. Ah shit, things are tense. Better keep this tension up by hard cutting back over to the Science Boys' glowing light show. As much as I enjoy the characters of Jace and Victor, I have to admit, their plotline right now is infinitely less interesting compared to the stuff happening in the underground. And having these two plotlines chopped together like this is hurting the flow of both stories. We do cut back to the team with Vander, but I feel like all my momentum is lost now, you know?
You have to work for me, okay?
Oh shit, I fucked up.
So yeah, Powder's explosion has accidentally killed the boys. Vi's fucked up and Vander gets stabbed by Mr. Villain, so not exactly a win for the heroes here. In order to survive, Vander takes some of the purple steroids himself and manages to save Vi before he ends up dying.
Did you see me? My monkey bomb finally worked!
You did this? Why did you do this? I told you to stay away!
No!
Emotional damage!
In the end, the Enforcers take Vi, and Mr. Villain takes in Powder.
We will show them all.
Well, if that ain't one hell of a villain origin story, I don't know what is. A lot of my issues with episode 2 were present in episode 3 as well. But first things first, based off of these 3 episodes, would I keep watching Arcane? Yes. This show is a perfect example of the 3-episode rule, because for the first 2.5 episodes, my answer would have been no. It wasn't until this final confrontation while saving Vander did it fully confirm my interests in the show. I'm very intrigued to see where the girls go from here. I'm pretty dang sure episode 4 would start with a time skip, because I think Vi and Powder are actually the 2 girls I brought up in the beginning of this video. Not only that, but the Hex Tech stuff between Jace and Victor must have been for an important reason too. We wouldn't have spent so much time on their project if it wasn't going to play a big role in the long run. However, I think these first 3 episodes are very flawed. The pacing is all over the place. Sometimes it feels like a crawl, other times it moves way too fast while simultaneously throwing a lot of new things at me. We bounce from one plot thread to the next near constantly, and it can be hard to keep up with what's going on with each character because of that. More importantly, the bouncing plots tend to take away any thunder from each other, sort of like we're just interrupting each plot over and over again. I wish there was a bit better flow between these 2 different stories. But I think the biggest detriment that was killing my vibe with the show was the lack of real character interactions, at least when it came to Vi, Powder, and the boys. I really aren't that bothered by their deaths because I never really got to know these characters, beyond their introduction stereotypes. And it's fine that they didn't want to bend over backwards fleshing out 2 characters who would end up dying so soon, but at the same time, they were essentially brothers to Vi and Powder. Their deaths is a big moment, and honestly, it wouldn't even take that much to give them a bit more development. And it would have given their deaths more of an impact if they did. Fortunately though, Vi and Powder get some heart-to-hearts, which in turn makes Vi abandoning Powder hurt a lot more. And I'm glad that they gave their relationship the development it needed to deliver a big emotional punch for this scene. Also, Jace and Victor got a lot of really good chemistry with their scenes. The biggest detriment, I think, was the fact that these first 3 episodes is very clearly one big prologue. A lot of establishment is being made, a lot of lore and character concepts are being thrown out there, but because of that, the character development aspect of these episodes takes a back seat. Another note is that I was kind of disappointed with the animation. Like I said before, it's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, and I understand why everyone was freaking out about the art direction for the show, but unfortunately, I feel like these first 3 episodes don't really work as good examples for that art direction. Everything was fine when they were breaking into Jace's apartment. The buildings looked cool, everything was bright and beautiful, there's a lot of little details everywhere, especially inside his building, but everything in the underground is so bland, dark, muddy colors that feel very oppressive, which I'm sure was the point, but it's not very appealing to look at. I know the point was that the kids grew up in squalor, and it's not supposed to look beautiful or cozy, but the thing is, even the other shots in Piltover feel the same way. When we cut back to Jace and Victor doing their experiments, those scenes are still overwhelmingly dark and gloomy. I don't know, they have such a beautiful art style. I guess I just wish they flaunted it more. The show is a perfect example of needing to watch the first 3 episodes in order to make a decision about watching it. Because now that I have gotten to the end of episode 3, my mind, hands down, has done a complete 180. I was getting all primed and ready to turn the show down, but it's finally hooked me at the very end of that 3rd episode. Maybe this will make Arcane a great example for all those people who turn up their noses at the watch 3 episodes rule then. Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Nako, James Dodds, Cool Duck, Andrew, Ramiel, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, G Extreme, Classy Critic, Sunny Shy, Great Bar, Pentamenta, Jake, Storm, Amber, Livid Aries, Hype Man, Luno, Zero to Hero, Keithan, Isaiah, Josh, Joseph, Scaring Crows, and Blue Wiz. So yeah, what do you think about Arcane? I feel like my opinions might be not very popular. Please let me know. Why do you love it so much? What do you think about it? If you have seen it, if you haven't, tell me what you thought about this video. Are you intrigued? Would you watch the episode based off of what I've seen? Any thoughts and opinions about Arcane and League of Legends, I guess? Is that related? Leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.